Shine Campus, what's going on? I hope everybody's having a good Sunday. The holiday season is officially here this week. It's going down at Costco because Thanksgiving is here. So if you guys go to Costco right now, you'll see it's wild. So I want to kind of get you in and out of here. So today I want to talk about making sure that your vibe is right this season. And one thing that I know, especially as a therapist, is that the holiday season is different for everybody. The goal is that it's cheer and joy and all that. But the truth is that that's just not always how life is. Matter of fact, it kind of creates an undue pressure for us sometimes. And depending on the circumstance you're in, it might be because of financial hardship. It might be because of memories, because of lost loved ones. It could be a lot of different things that could be coming up. And it might not be any of those. It might even be like you're having hardship in your relationship right now or in life overall. And so it doesn't always bring that same kind of scenario that, is on all the commercials and everything that everybody else expects it to be. So we get that. I want to be able to support you by giving some kind of information or being able to provide you with at least a direction to be able to focus on. So how do we make sure that the vibe is right this season? So first of all, your vibe doesn't need to look like the televised vibe or what everybody else says it is. You get to design up your own. So I want you to figure that part out first. Um, the next thing that you have to be aware of is two things that I think kind of tap into us. And one is the depression concept, and the other is the anxiety concept. And if we look at those things and start trying to understand what those things are, it will help us to be able to move into a different spot. So remember that depression is us being focused on the things that have happened in our lives to us or around us, right? Meanwhile, anxiety is about things that might happen. It doesn't necessarily have to happen, it's just things that might happen. And so as we get that worry and that sense of lack of control in either scenario, um, then it starts to get hard on our bodies. And so there's a couple of key words. And if you have to go back and rewind, what I just said, because that actually inside of that, those definitions are the ways out of the scenarios that we're talking about. So how do I make sure that my vibe is right in this season? Well, the first thing that I think it's really important that you do is get a regimen. Like you need to be able to have a focus point that's not on the previous scenarios and not on the future scenarios. And that's already going to be hard, even if you have a different focus point, because our body and our mind naturally goes to different things. So if you can start building up and tonight you can jot down, okay, what do I want to actually put focus on? What do I want to be building in my life? What do I want to be building in myself? And I think there's two areas that you could probably look at that would be useful, and they kind of like pile on to other things. If you start thinking about, or they start like contributing to other things. If you think about how do I want to build money scenarios, right? And this doesn't need to happen over the holidays. It's just in general, like what do I want to start working on? That's one scenario. And then the second thing is internally, what do I want to start working on for myself? Like, how do I want to get 1% better each day? And as you write down those goals or that kind of focus, um, start listing out the things that you can do every day that will help you to be able to start shifting on those things. Now, again, we don't need this idea that says, "Oh, tomorrow I'm going to be good," or somehow it's going to everything's going to be fixed, or I'm going to fix, I'm going to be exactly where I need to be, in those a couple of months or so during the holiday season. That's not the goal. The goal is just to get ourselves to refocus on the things that will actually build us instead of the things that kind of take us away from where we want to be at vibration wise, right? So if you can start putting that together, then you give yourself a chance to have another focus. Okay, so that's one side of things. Another side of things is sometimes, especially with all the things going on in the world, like when you go out, and I mentioned Costco as one of the first things. When you go out, you could see like the jumble and where everybody's at, and people are moving around. A lot of times it reminds me of ants, depending on the location. Like everybody's kind of just moving around and hustling. A lot of times, especially towards the end, closer to the holidays, people are more of a hurry, less concerned about each other. So we start being consumed with the way that other people are interacting, what's going on in the world. And I think that our awareness about ourselves has to raise up a whole lot more than what it is. And so it'd be useful for you to be able to turn off all the things that don't take you to the place that you want to be mentally, emotionally. And that's going to be a hard thing because there's some habits that you have that you haven't turned off because they're cool escapes. The only thing is they're pulling you into your depression things, they're pulling you into your anxious things, they're pulling you into your negative relationship scenarios. And so you have to take inventory. What are the things that I am putting inside of my mind? What are the things I'm watching? What are the things I'm surrounding myself with that are actually dragging me down instead of bringing me up? It's easy, probably, if we say social media, because everybody's willing to blame social media in this day and age that, hey, you know what, like social media is the monster. But to be honest, it might even be the relationships that you have around you, the people. Like, we know when somebody comes to you and has a conversation, what's their conversation about? Is it about the current events and all the hardest things that have happened in the world? Or is it about them saying, like, hey, I just put together this cool plan that I'm going to help people out with, and this is what I'm going to be doing? Is their conversation energizing or not? Right. And so look at and take inventory of what are the things that I am bringing into my mind, because your awareness about things that you don't have control over is going to take you into places that you don't want to be mentally, emotionally. It's going to drop your vibration, right? But your awareness of who you actually are and what you're capable of and what you're going towards is actually going to raise your vibration. So during this season, and this will be an interesting challenge for you. So I've already given you two things, but then the third challenge is during this season, even though we know it's the holiday scenario, the who you are always remains the same, right? And so if you don't get caught up in, like, I got to do this for the holiday, and this type of situation has to happen, and it needs to go well, and that all of those things will play themselves out if you're willing to go inside out first. And so being more aware of what kind of person am I, who am I being, and what am I trying to work on for myself, then that awareness gives you a certain kind of focus so that you don't have to be so aware of all the things that are not going your way, right? And as you're able to shift back to that, you'll see that your vibration changes in all of the situations that you don't have control over. The last scenario, because I talk so much about relationships and I want to be able to help that, because I know during this time that a lot of times relationship strain is a big deal. And if I'm being honest, I think a lot of times it's focused around not having the ability to do things, either A, because people are working to get money, because people are missing money, or because somehow they're not able to be around everybody else location wise, or whatever that scenario is. Okay, so if all of that is in there, how do we do relationships differently? And I think us being able to do all the things that we listed will be really helpful, because you can make a category that says, how do I grow my relationships and what do I need to do? But staying on the side of being able to help out and point out the goodness of each other in your relationship is going to be super helpful. Don't It's not the time right now in any kind of relationship to start focusing on what somebody else is not doing in the relationship, whether it's a parent child relationship, whether it's spouse to spouse, whatever the relationship is. This is not the season for focusing on what somebody else isn't doing. I don't know if there's ever going to be a season that I'm going to find out or say that, hey, that's a good time. But more than ever right now, you want to really emphasize some of the goodness that everybody is doing, right? Bringing out the worst thing that somebody is not going to be helpful to building your own vibration and creating something that you want to be a part of. Never mind what you're creating for somebody else, because you're probably making a hardship for somebody else too, but you're not making what you need on the inside for you. And that's the key. And so being able to stay focused um, on pointing out and figuring out, man, what's the best thing that everybody around me is doing, and how do I highlight that and make sure I mention those things and be a part of that scenario more than anything. Okay. So I hope those are helpful tips for you guys to be able to stay focused and be able to have the right kind of vibration throughout this holiday season. I hope you guys enjoy your families. I hope you enjoy any kind of time that you get off, and that everything goes well. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.